Today we are going to go over the removal and replacement of the Mercedes steering wheel angle sensor. This is for a E320 bluetec 2007. This same sensor was used in many vehicles from 2006 all the way up to 2011. Bison performs a repair on this sensor which upgrades the optical components that will prevent this from failing in the future. So I'm going to go over how to remove and replace this sensor. The common symptoms of this sensor failure are your ESP function will fail and your cruise control won't work. So let's get started. First, we have a list of tools. I use a flat blade screwdriver here for taking the cables off of the airbag. For removing the steering column assembly, I use a special Torx wrench. If you can see that, that is a w211. It's a fairly long tool. You don't need the tamper hole there, but you do need this tool to get up in the steering column to remove it. This is simply a 1/4 inch end I use with a socket. You're also going to need to remove the steering wheel. For that, I'm going to go ahead and use a Allen tool. This is a number 10. It's a metric tool. I need a tool to remove the battery. Before you start this repair, you definitely want to make sure the battery is not active, because you will be messing with the airbag. Many of the steering wheel components are going to use a T27 tool. There's also another smaller tool for removing the sensor, and I will get to that tool later as we get there. But first of all, let's go ahead and unplug the battery from the car. In my car, for example, that I'm demoing this on, this is an E320 2007 bluetec. My battery is in the trunk. So I've already got the deck removed. This is underneath the deck. You're going to find an access corner cover which will display the battery. Go ahead, and I believe, what size is this? Pull this up here. Wow, cut. Okay, for my car, this is an E320. Before you get started, it's very important that you do remove the power to the car. You will be messing with an airbag. In my car, it's in the trunk on this right-hand side. Yours may be in a different position. I'm going to go ahead and use a 10mm socket here. And I've already loosened this tool, as you can see, so I don't have to use the wrench on it for the camera. And then I just pull the battery post off and I tuck it away. I make sure that there's no way it's going to bounce back and accidentally power the car while I'm working on it. Well, here we are. We're back inside the car, and the first thing we're going to have to do is remove this airbag assembly, because we have to get down and remove the steering wheel and remove the steering column itself to get to this steering wheel position sensor. When I first did this, I didn't have an instructional video that related to this car. It was very difficult, and I beat my head on the wall a little bit. Even downloading the Mercedes software that explains the repair and removal of this component didn't really go over it. So the first thing we got to do is remove the airbag. And if you notice here on the back, on each side, you're going to find a small hole. I simply put the tool in the hole, and I'm going to loosen these nuts. There's one on each side, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I broke these nuts free. I've got them both loose on both sides of the car now. Got one over here I'm going to get to. Now these will not come out, they only just loosen. But once you get them loosened completely, you can go ahead and carefully remove this assembly. And if you look and you flip it over carefully, now you're going to see the cables that are plugged into it. These are the airbag leads, and I'm going to snap these off with a screwdriver, being very careful by removing pressure on these retaining clips. Here's another cable we're going to have to undo, and we're going to go ahead and remove this cable which comes from the car itself to the distribution block. That way we can go ahead and take the steering wheel off. Alright, so this will take a little bit of prying. For some it can make you a little nervous. You do want to be careful and not get too aggressive with it and accidentally damage one of these. But as you can see, they do pop off fairly easily. We're going to go ahead and go back and forth and get both of these now. There. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slightly pull this connector out here, release this off. Great. Now I can go ahead and put the airbag away. I do have one more cable. As you can see, this part that comes up from the car, in my car, yours may be different, will be plugging into this distribution module. I'm going to go ahead and unplug that now. So now I have all the wires removed. Next, I'm going to put a tool here and I'm going to remove the steering wheel. And there's some special considerations to make, and I'll show you those. Okay, now this part is on pretty tight. I have better luck actually locking the steering wheel in place, but I shut the car off, so it's not locked right now. There's no power to it. You may want to consider locking it in place before you do this, and this one is not locked, but I have already broke it free. And this is a fairly tight nut. I'm going to do it with one hand, but when you do it, you're going to end up using two. It's going to be on there really, really tight. So this has already been broke free for the purpose of this video. Don't be afraid of it though. Turn it counterclockwise and it will come out. I'm going to take my wrench off here so I can spin it by hand a little faster. There we go. Alright, so there's my part. As you can see, there's some glip on here. This is to keep this part from sliding back out. It's a safety material they put on it to help lock it in place. Now, if you can look down in there, let me get a pointing device so I can show you. There we go. You see that there's thread marks on this center shaft, these two top marks. I went ahead, and if you look close, I went ahead and took a marker and I marked the alignment of those two positions. Okay, I took just a little Sharpie and I marked them. It's very important that you mark these so that when you put the steering wheel back on, you get it back on in the exact position. This is a spline type connection, and they are very, very small, and it's easy to get it off one thread. So let's go ahead and remove the steering wheel. Be careful not to snag the wires here. You want to make sure those get fed through without damage. And here we are. There's the steering wheel. Alright, so this is the clock spring assembly. This is an electrical interface for the car and the rest of the plugs, and as the steering wheel turns, this part slides back and forth. Now, the next thing we're going to have to do is just remove this whole column out. And that was the trick for me the first time I did it. I thought I could take these screws out and go in, but no, you remove this whole assembly, and I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, we're going to go ahead and remove the steering column now. As you notice, the reason we're looking down here, because there's a hole. This hole has a bolt which goes up in it and locks it in place. So we remove this bolt. This is where I need one of the special tools. If you don't have a deep well tool like this one, or something similar that can get up there, most sockets will not go up that far. So this may be one of those special tools you're going to have to buy. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen that bolt now. So I'm just going to break this free. And then once I get that broke free, I'm just going to take this tool off. Hang on here. So now that I've got this broke free, I can just unscrew this tool right here. Now the part will not fall out. The bolt will just come loose and it will slide down in there. It will not drop and hit the floor. At least it doesn't on my model. Now we're going to remove the entire steering wheel column. It should just snap right off. In fact, I'm going to have to use both hands here. You're going to have to use both hands and a gentle tug, and this whole assembly will then come out. And if you look on the base of the steering column, there's the interface power. And down inside, we can see right here that that's where it plugs into. And this whole assembly back here, this is the steering wheel position sensor, the angle position sensor. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out these bolts. There's two of them right here. There's also some little plastic covers here on top. We can go ahead and take these out. This will allow for the unit to slide out once we unconnect the plastic housing. So let's go ahead and get these pieces out right here. There's one more right here. This one's a little stubborn. I'll probably need both hands for this. So, nope, there it comes. Okay. So, and keep in mind, even though these look completely identical, one of them is going to have a little square tab there on that corner. You see that corner, that little tab there? That's the oddball, for mine anyway. And that's going to go to this part here, whereas the other two do not have that little tab. Okay, next, I've got the part out on my workbench outside, as you can see. Now I'm just going to take these two screws out. There's one here and one over there. So let's go ahead and remove those. Okay, I've got these two small screws out. Now I'm going to take the plastic sleeve off. And I've got the little plastic pieces out here, so at this point in time it should just slide out. And it sure does. Look at that. So now we've got the cover off, and we're getting down to the car. And as you can see, this assembly right here is starting to look familiar. This right here, up into here, is the steering wheel angle position sensor. So the next thing we have to do to get to that, we've got three other small screws. I've got one here, one right here, and one right here. So let's go ahead and take these screws out and pull this assembly off. Okay, I went ahead and removed these three screws. As you can see, they're a smaller screw. And see how this part is becoming loose? See? If you look and flip this over, you're going to notice there's a small plastic tab here, and there's another small plastic tab here. So now we're going to press these in with my thumb. I'm going to need both hands again, so I won't be able to show this. And I'm going to take this part out. Okay, so this assembly here is plugged into the bottom half of the transmission steering wheel position sensor. So now that I've got this all open, I'm going to go ahead and pull this assembly out, and I've already broke it loose, and it should just come right off now, and it's off. So now that I've got it apart, see how I've released these clips here, and it's actually come down now. I'm going to go ahead and take the steering wheel position sensor off of the car. I do have to slide it just a little bit. You have to fiddle with it, but it will come free pretty easy without getting too rough. And there it is. Here it is. Now, before you put the car back, put this back, you notice there's a small arrow right here. Okay? This component here has a locking assembly on it. See this little piece right here? And when that's locked, this has a very limited range of motion. It only turns so much. And this is in the dead center position. And you're going to see this little piece on the back. See how it locks? When I press it, it removes it. So you want to leave the steering wheel in the middle straight wheel position like it was when you took it apart. And then when you take this part off, this will already be locked in the correct position. And right here, on this position, when you get this back from us and you need to install it, look very carefully. You're going to see there's small marks on here. See that little arrow by my thumb? Let's see if we can get in there. And you can see that. See how there's a little arrow in the disc by my thumb? See how that arrow is now lined up with the white arrow? What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to turn this to its full limit and the other limit, and then come back exactly in the middle and line these arrows up before reassembling. Otherwise, this sensor will not be lined up properly and it will not work. And it won't even have the proper range of motion. And when you turn the steering wheel, you will break it. So I'm going to turn this all the way first. That's full limit. See how the arrow goes past. And I believe it's 2 turns, and it even says 2 turns. Approximately 2 turns until arrow markings match. So there is 1. one. See that? Going to go around again. And there's two. So when reassembling, it's very important that you follow this procedure. If you don't and you break the part, we won't be able to fix your part. You will have to replace it, and it will not be a warranty item. So be very, very careful here and make sure that you follow these directions when reinstalling. Now I'm going to go past this, and it should go around twice as well and land on the other side, and it does. See? So it's very important that you go back twice. 1, 2, and you line them up. Take it to the limit on either side, go back twice, and line them up when you reinstall this part. If you don't, you will destroy the part, and it's a very expensive part to buy new, as you can tell. They're a couple $100. So I hope this video has been helpful to you, and this matches your car as close as possible, and that you're able to get this done. So good luck with your project, and I look forward to fixing these things for you. Thanks.